always enjoyed letter writing, although I'm starting to do emails now. But I do like the idea of having some notepaper, which is a bit of fun at the same time. I mean, a very simple one here, which I picked up many years ago, just said, "Please read between the lines." Well, that's right, and then thank you at the end. That's very sweet. So I could write a letter on that, and people can have a little smile at the idea of reading between the lines, because that's what you're supposed to do anyway. But it's always got a double meaning, isn't it? Reading between the lines meaning when you're reading someone's letter, you're trying to think underneath what they really mean, or that sort of thing. It's one of those deeper meanings to it. But taking it on the surface, there we are. You just write the letter in between the lines. That's an easy one. A more sophisticated idea came up from Mel Stover, a man I knew for many years, from Canada. He died a few years ago, but at a good age. But this is one of the things he gave me in about 1990. He'd done a little picture of himself at the top, looking a bit sort of, well, sweated from all the effort of writing this long letter. And I think in the original version it said from the desk of Jerry Andrews. And this one says from the desk. Let's see what it says on the blurb there. But that's why I left it out, from the desk of, and I then was able to put from the desk of Tim, etc., etc., etc. But what you did actually when you wrote it that way up. The point being that when you wrote your address, your name, blah, 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 finally, best wishes from Tim, and I made sure that the actual bottom squiggle, which I always write, right, was coinciding with the end of his pen, like this one here. I've done a very brief sketch with a in pencil last night. Here we are. I've started to write a letter. It starts off with "Dear Tim," dear whatever it is at the top, and at the end I say "Best wishes from Tim." Squiggle, squiggle, squiggle. And then that finishes exactly where his pencil is, as if I've written it myself, and that's a picture of me writing it. That was a very sweet idea, and I've used that for many years. Again, I keep a list of all the people I send it to, because I don't like sending the same thing twice to the same people. I always like to do something different. I did come across, incidentally, another version of Jerry's idea, which was maybe, I think this is regular merchandising stationery from paper shows or something in England, but it had the same idea there. You could just about get away with doing the same thing there. Have your address and your name and write, and find the squiggle, squiggle, and end just where the nib of the biro is touching the paper there. You can pretend that's the signature at the end. So that was a nice concept. So again, I've used that many, many times. There's another invention which came out of America where maps or cartography paper is being recycled. This is an old map which apparently is no longer used. Perhaps there's too many changes to it. So and it was overprinted. They have far too much of it. So they made it in big pads like this. And you couldn't write on the front, but you could write on the back like that. And they made it into envelopes as well. This is an example of envelope made of surplus cartography paper. United States Department of Interior Geological Surveys, far too many sheets printed. So rather than throw the sheets away or burn them or recycle them, well, you are recycling, but you're using them as stationery, which is a nice idea. There's a pad of the stuff I've got here. Look at this lot here, a big pad, all with the same picture in each one. I'm slightly surprised that I can understand maps getting out of date if there's lots of man-made changes to little houses or new roads opened or closed or woods being chopped down. But this is nature, and I can't think, apart from ice ages and a few things like 1,000 years, why they become obsolete. But there we are. Perhaps all the trigonometry measures are wrong, and they have to rechange them. So there's quite a lot of map paper which has to be thrown out every now and then. And if you're lucky, you can get a pad like this from a company was called Geo Stationery, breathing new life into waste paper products. 100%, and those are all envelopes as well. So I've had a lot of fun with that too. And to write on it is really, it's a bit more demanding. The third and last one is an extraordinary idea, which I've got from two sources. They're origami type approach. This was actually sent to me by a friend in the Origami Society, and he got a bit of paper, he folded it in a special way, and then if you take the trouble to put a bit of sellotape there, seal it, put a stamp on it, you can just about get away with that as an envelope. And in fact, it's a piece of paper that's been folded up. I'll open it up to show the folds. Quite difficult little folds there. I wouldn't have come across those originally, but there's the original rectangle in the center, and with all the rest of the things folded in, it creates what looks roughly like an envelope. A much better version was shown to me by a friend, James Delgatti, who's got a wonderful collection of puzzles, his biggest puzzle collection in the world. But his idea was something he picked up a long time ago, was something which ended up like this, an envelope like this. Well, not an envelope, it's a sheet of paper, actually. I've written on this one, just a bit of fun. I'll open it up and show what it opens up into. Let's see if this is me trying to be humorous. Here we are. It's another 30-car drive, Autoville, garage show doesn't exist, and so on and so on. So that's what you end up with. But what do you start with? Well, look, what you're going to start with. You start undoing it. You start undoing it. But the person's got to do this when they receive it. They don't open the envelopes. They're opening the paper and definitely it's Jerry Andrews' picture, but this time it's been expanded 100% up to A3 size. So this is an A3 size sheet of paper. And that would be my letter, as it were, coming from, excuse me, that last bit of there, let's get tearing it, mind. That's what you end up with, and this is what you start with. Something as small as that, it ends up that size there. Incidentally, the address is in the middle there. Can you see it there? So that's been a lot of fun to do, and I've done that to 2 or 3 dozen people over the years as a form of well, what they call a bread and butter letter, which means a thank you letter for parties or for favours or for presents or whatever it is. So I'll have a go if I can of folding this one up again. It's a bit tricky to do actually, unless you're. Let's see if I can have a go down here. I know the first bit goes like this. I wish I knew who the person was who invented this bit of origami folding, because it's superb. And that's got to go in like that. Oh, there we are. Now we're coming in very nicely. There's Jerry Adams stayed at the top. This has got to come into the centre. I think like that. Those have got to go into the centre like that. That's got to go into the centre like that. Strangely, like that. That's right. Now we're in. Now we're in. That's got to fold down like that. And that's got to fold down like that. Those close in like that. That closes. That closes. That closes. Bit rough there, and finally that tucks into there like that, sort of. Bit rough at the end, but there we are. That's what it ends up as, and finally was there. So that's what you send to the post. Just a bit of sellotape to secure it, and you manage to send a letter without an envelope. What do you think? Go on.